Thank you so much for joining me today. Take a few moments to get situated if you haven't already. Comfortable seated position with or without any props. Wiggle a little bit into your seat. Just bringing your attention to the connection of your body into whatever you're sitting on. And when it feels right, go ahead and close the eyes. Elongate the spine and turn to the breath. Just the natural inhale and exhale here, and a few moments for you to pay attention to it. Just check in with whatever you've brought to the mat today and how your breath, the rhythm of your breath, and the quality of your breath feels. Placing one hand on the sternum and one hand on the belly. A gentle pressure. Enough pressure to offer a sense of presence. And if it feels like it offers comfort, you can sit with that. Just feeling the rise and fall beneath your hands. And slowly, steadily deepening that breath. If there are any intentions or prayers coming up for you, take a moment to honor them. Bringing the palms together at the heart, we'll open officially this practice with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. So let's release the hands and open the eyes. And please make your way onto your back. So go ahead and situate yourself on the mat. Lying back to hug the knees into the chest for a moment. And give a little rock from side to side. Both to kind of massage and comfort that lower back, as well as bring your awareness into the connection points between your body and the ground. Always keeping the breath moving. Noticing that if it gets stuck, you pause and you take the time, to inhale and exhale in a meaningful way. So as you bring the body back to stillness in the center, let's stand the feet down on the ground. Fix the pelvis if you need to, and then stretch the legs out straight. Reach the arms overhead, touching the ground behind you. Flex the feet, reach through the fingers and the heels, and take a couple of breaths along the length of your body. From here, we're gonna walk the right foot over to the right side of the mat, the right diagonal, touching kind of the outer edge of the mat. And cross your left ankle on top of that right leg. Right, left foot crossing over right. And then lift your upper body and move it over to the right as well, creating a C curve in the body. Right hand holds onto that left wrist, and we're gonna stay here for a few moments to breathe. So you're keeping that, that action of lengthening in the body that we did right in the center, but now you're curved a little bit in a C shape, and you might feel a little bit more stretch and length on that left side. We're attempting to keep both shoulder blades connected to the ground and both of the hips, buttock connected to the mat as well. Moving the breath in and out. Check in briefly with the neck and shoulders that we're not creating tension there. And then uncross the legs, let go of the grip of the hands, and bring everything back into the center for a moment. Release your arms down by your side. Fix any body parts that feel out of alignment, and take a breath. And then let's energize again to reach the arms overhead to the floor behind you. Walk the left leg over to the left diagonal, crossing the right foot on top of the left ankle, lifting the torso to move it over to the left, and then you hold on to that right wrist for the side stretch. And again, breathe in here, a sense of lengthening and grounding simultaneously. Softness around the neck and the throat. And then let's move everything back to the center as you let go of the grip of the hands and the cross of the feet. Lower the arms by your side again, fixing body parts that need readjusting. Breath in and out here. Once again, cuddle the knees into the chest. Give a little rock to the lower back. And if you like, you can circle the thighs a little bit to warm up in the hips. Bringing the legs back in towards you, holding on underneath the thighs. Let's rock a few times along the back. On our way up to sit. So catch the next one or two to help you get set in a seated position. Crossing those legs, grounding and lengthening through the spine. Inhale, reaching the arms up overhead, and then just leave the arms up as you keep the breath moving. Pressing down through the seat and reaching up through the fingers. Chin level to the ground. On an exhale, reach the arms behind the back and go ahead and interlace the fingers. And then take the hands over to the right side of your body. You might even hook the hands around the right hip or waist. And then take the left ear down to the shoulder. And giving yourself a stretch here through the throat and the jaw and the neck. Let's take the head back into the center. Bring the arms behind you. Stretch the elbows straight, reaching the knuckles for the floor, and your knuckles might even touch the ground, and you can use the knuckles in the ground to help you take your gaze slightly up. And then bring the gaze back to level. Bring the arms back around to your legs and rest the hands on your lap. Inhale, reach the arms up again, leaving them up for a couple of rounds of inhale and exhale, lengthening through the waist. On an exhale, bring the hands again behind your back and do the non-dominant grip if it's possible. And then we'll take the hands over to the opposite side. And you hook the hands, if possible, around that hip or waist. If they don't make it all the way, that's okay. Just let the knuckles press into the back wherever your hands land. And then you're taking your ear to your shoulder away from the arms. Relaxing through the jaw and the tongue. I even like to let my lower jaw kind of just slack over to the side. Clearing a beautiful pathway between the head and the heart by stretching in and around the throat and the neck and the shoulders. Also gives us an opportunity to connect to our throat chakra, where we speak our truth and also listen to others. So as you bring your head back through the center, bring your arms behind you, keeping them interlaced. We're stretching the elbows straight. Maybe the knuckles touch into the ground for a little support, lifting the chest, lifting the gaze a little bit, feeling a stretch maybe along the belly or the upper back. And then bringing the gaze again back to level. Hands come around as they release from one another to the lap. Cleansing breath here, in and out. From here, take your hands behind you, and I'm just moving around so you can see different angles of me. You'll just set your feet out on the mat ahead of you. The hands behind you, I like to dial them out a little bit, sort of like a 10 and 2, but you can see what your shoulders like as we move into this. We're gonna press the hands and the feet down and lift the hips up. And then when you're up there, rock around a little bit. So there can be kind of a little softness in the approach. Still being careful of the wrists and shoulders as you sway around, but this can be a nice way to warm up the ankles and the wrists. And even move the shoulders around, right? Swaying side to side, forward and back. And then getting right in the center, we're gonna take the left hip down to touch the mat. And the elbows might bend a little, and then lift the hips back up through the center and touch the opposite hip down. Right hip down, and lifting it up through the center and taking the left hip down and up through the center, right hip down, up through the center. One more time, each side. Left hip dropping down, really warming up the spine, muscles of the spine. Right hip drops down and lift it up. See if you can hold it up for just another moment. And if it's okay in the neck, you'll look up and release your head back between the shoulder blades, keeping the whole body really long from knees to crown of head. Bring the chin back to the chest, lower the hips all the way down, and make your way to hands and knees. So flipping that table now into more familiar orientation. Hands and knees setting up just so. On an inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the chin and the tailbone. On an exhale, reverse rounding, releasing the head down. Inhaling to release the belly down, gaze lifts, and exhale to round. Inhale to our cow, and exhale to our cat. Let's pause right in the center, belly down just a little bit. Walk your hands out to the corner edges of your mat. Keep your hips up high on top of the knees. As you lower your elbows and chest, the chest won't touch, but you might be able to touch your forehead or chin. And then once you're there, lift the elbows off the ground, really press the hands down and draw the belly in just a little bit. So you're active through the hands pressing down. You've got either your forehead or your chin on the mat, and you're hugging the belly up away from the ground just a little bit. Carefully exiting, so release the chin if it's touching the mat. Bring the hands underneath you to come through table. Lengthen the table a little bit as we tuck the toes. We're going to down dog. Separate the feet really wide in your down dog for this first one. I like to go as wide as my yoga mat. You can see for your body how wide is enough. And then pedal a little bit and sway around and just put some breath and some movement into this pose. If there's tension still in your neck, you might like to move your head a little bit, yes and no. Lifting and lowering the heels, nice for working through the calves. From here, walk the feet a little bit closer together in a more familiar down dog. Take a good breath in and out. And then a couple of steps to bring your feet to the top of the mat. Standing forward fold. Put a little space between your feet, either a fist or two can work nicely here. And then a tiny bend in the knee as you drape the belly onto the thighs and you allow the arms to hang down, shoulders hanging towards your ears here. A tiny bit of a rock forward and back in the feet or side to side as it feels good in your body. Always keeping the breath moving. All right, from here, let's put the hands onto the shins and lengthen the chest out halfway, especially lengthening through the upper back. Exhale when you fold. Again, halfway lift. Inhale. Just finding the rhythm of your breath here. Exhale as you fold. You don't have to be exactly with me. Inhale, lengthening halfway. Exhale, fold. Pause in the fold for a moment. And all together on the inhale, rise to stand. Circle the arms above you. And exhale the hands to the heart center. Keeping the feet wide, let's reach the arms overhead again. And interlace the fingers. And release your pointer fingers towards the ceiling. And as you do that, hug the arms close to the ears as you straighten those elbows as much as you can. And take a breath into lengthen up right in the center. And exhale as you fold to the right. And then as we stay here, keep the breath moving. And the body is strong as it's arcing over. Pressing the feet into the ground for good support here. Shifting that hip over to the side. Use an inhale to come up through the center. And an exhale to lean to the left. Your hips shift right as your upper body leans left. So really mimicking what we did when we were laying down on the ground here, creating a standing C curve now. On an inhale, lift it up through the center. Let's fold forward as you exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. And exhale, folding down. Rise to stand, inhale. Keep the arms up, interlace the non-dominant grip. Release the pointer fingers towards the ceiling again. Arms are really straight and powerful. Legs are firm. With an exhale, we lean to the left. And hold it here as you really shift the hips to the right. And just because it's the second time doesn't mean there has to be more. But if you feel and sense your body is ready and responding, you can go deeper. And inhale to lift through the center. And on your next exhale, shift over, body to the right, hips to the left. I try to imagine I'm between two panes of glass so that my whole body is kind of lined up in one long arc. Inhale through the center. Exhale, standing forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Rise to stand, arms reach one more time, interlace. Doesn't matter which grip you use now, pointer fingers, release, arms hug the head, let's lean to the right. Hips going out to the left. Coming up through the center and leaning to the left. Drawing the lower belly in as you come up through the center. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant the hands, step back to plank. Keep the breath moving as we hold in plank for a few moments. Shoulders draw down the back, legs are strong. You can always lower the knees if this feels too challenging. Together, let's lower the knees to touch the mat. A little bit of our cow pose, arching in the spine, lowering chest and chin to touch the mat. Let's lengthen the body out long. Point the feet and slide the elbows forward to prop yourself up on the elbows as create our Sphinx pose. Roll the inner thighs up. Press the tops of the feet down. The knees will hover a little bit. The palms press down. And though we won't see anything with the eyes, we're drawing the heart forward. We're drawing the upper body forward as we reach the legs in the opposite direction, creating lots of length here. And as we hold this pose for a few moments, if the neck is challenged or uncomfortable, you can lower the chin towards the chest. Energetically feeling the heart drawing forward. And clearing the throat, softness there. Just another breath or two. We'll release the elbows out to the side, lower the chest and forehead down to touch the mat. Bring the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, press to plank. Lift the hips to down dog. Couple of breaths in your downward facing dog, lengthening the spine, hips reaching up and back. All right, next exhale, we're walking the feet up to the top of the mat, standing forward fold, feet a little bit apart here today. Inhale as you rise up to stand. Exhale the hands to the heart center. With the feet slightly separated in this way, We're gonna sink down into our chair. You get to decide how low your chair is, reaching the arms on the diagonal. And just moving towards the pose, right? These challenging poses, sometimes we want to drift away mentally or physically. And so here's a moment that we're challenged and we're gonna step towards the pose. This teaches us to step towards some of the discomfort we experience, step towards conversation and activism and change. Couple more breaths here. Grounding in the feet, squeezing through the glutes. Feeling some heat maybe. Standing forward fold, let it go. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Go ahead and step back to plank. Lower down to the mat. Take a back bend, cobra, warrior up dog. All the way back to down dog. Right leg lifting with an inhale. Step that right foot all the way forward. Pause here for a moment. Coming high onto the fingertips, grounding through the right foot. Pump the back heel a little bit, which will move your body forward and back. You're drawing your right hip down and back. It's a great way to really feel into the hip. I should say maybe effective. I don't know if great is the word you would use. All right, from here, we're gonna set that back foot to warrior one. So in and down on the angle. When you get set, lift the torso, arms reach up overhead. Outer edge of the back foot, grounding, connecting. Arms reaching out to the side, broaden the chest for a moment, and then take the right arm on top of the left for either half or whole eagle arm. Tailbone dropping straight down. Elbows lift a little on the angle if it's okay in your upper back. You create a little arc, a little back bend, gazing up. Bring the elbows back to neutral. Reach the arms overhead, straighten your right leg. Reaching the arms up, just take a couple of breaths here. Legs are strong, torso lengthening, chin level to the ground. Exhale, warrior one. Bend the front knee. Lean forward, bring fingertips to the ground, and move your hips forward so you can lift your back leg standing on your right leg. Your left leg goes up towards the sky. Head down, standing split. Now, it doesn't have to be your biggest standing split ever. The hamstrings may not be warm enough, but just allow yourself to sort of courageously dive down. Move the breath into the pose. Lifting a little bit in the torso. You're gonna take half moon, so right hand is gonna stay on the ground. Left leg, opening toes to the side. Left arm up. And again, a couple of moments to really breathe into it, breathing into any of the wobbling, any of the falling, opportunities to get back in, to recover. Both hands come back to the mat. We're gonna land the left leg into a low lunge. So bend your front knee, set your back foot down, lower the knee to touch, Point the foot, pressing through the legs to come up with the body, arms reaching overhead. Again, lifting the gaze will help you to create a little bit of that arc in the upper back if it's safe and comfortable to do so. We're bringing the hands all the way back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes to lift that knee and step into a down dog. Let's come to plank, lower chaturanga, cobra, or up dog. Back to your down dog. Settle in there for a breath or two. All together, left leg lifting up into the air. Stretch it, almost like you're yawning, lengthening. Left foot steps forward into the lunge with the fingertips on the ground. Back heel lifted. We're rocking a little bit forward and back, being directed by that back foot as it lifts, heel up and down. Setting that back heel to the warrior one, so spin it flat, legs set, torso comes up, arms reach. Back outer edge of the foot, grounding, firm through the legs, tailbone lengthens down. Arms reach out to open and broaden across the chest, and then taking left arm on top, either half or whole eagle. Then lifting the elbows a little bit, lifting the gaze to create a little back bend. Release the arms all the way back up and straighten that left leg. Leave the arms overhead, couple of moments to recover the breath. Exhale, bend that left knee, warrior one. Hands come down to the mat. Shift the hands forward, shift the weight into your left leg. Right leg flies up, standing split. Whatever leg height you can manage, and dropping the head or releasing the head down like you're diving courageously into something unknown. From here, half moon, so lift your gaze, plant it on the floor ahead of you, left hand stays down, that right leg, toes turn to the space to the right of your mat, right arm reaches up. There may be some wobbling, you may fall and need to take a moment to get back in. Don't give up on yourself, you've got this. Landing it all to our low lunge. So right hand comes down, set the right toes way back on the mat, lower that knee and point the foot. Good. Lift the torso, reach the arms up. Lift the gaze, create a little back bend here. Bringing the hands all the way back to the mat. Careful transition to down dog. So right toes tuck, knee lifts, left leg to join the right. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Cobra or up dog. And all the way back to down dog. A few breaths in your downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up, inhale. Right leg stepping forward. Pause here. Settle the back heel flat to the mat. Take your right hand to the inside edge of your right foot and take your left arm to the sky. Opening into a deep side angle here. Let's take the top arm and reach it past the ear. We're gonna take the left hand, just allow it to fold towards the ground and walk your body to the left towards that side edge of the mat. Toes and heels tidying to be parallel with one another. Fingertips support your chest as you lengthen halfway. And then exhale, folding down. Couple of breaths here in this fold. Softening through the upper back, whatever that means for you. Fingertips back out ahead of you so you can lift halfway, support the shoulders. Walk all the way to the left. Yeah, and from here, step the left foot to down dog. So you're facing the opposite way on your mat than when we began. Left leg lifts up, inhale. And left leg stepping forward. We pause here to set the back heel flat, to move our left hand to the big toe side of the foot. Right arm reaches to the sky. Long side angle pose. And then top arm reaching past the ear as we extend it. Feel the breath in the pose. We're gonna lower that right hand down so we can walk again to the side edge of the mat to the right. Toes and heels turning parallel. Fingers underneath the chest for that halfway lift and a good inhale when you can. Exhale as you fold. Now either fingertips and hands can drop towards the ground right in the center, or if you're able to wrap your peace fingers around your big toes, can do so. And with that hold, you allow your elbows to bend out away from one another. And this again creates that space around the throat and the neck for clear communication. Rock a little weight into the balls of the feet, keeping the heels grounded. Allow gravity to do a little bit of the work here. So where can you surrender? You're holding the toes, you're releasing the grip, everybody using hands underneath the chest to lift halfway. We're walking back to the right where we started and coming to a down dog facing the side of the mat that you began the practice in. Let's lower the knees to touch the mat. And if you need any extra cushion for your knees, we're heading into a back bend. So you're welcome to sort of fold the mat if it's helpful to the kneecaps, placing the knees on top of that little fold. Yeah. Tucking the toes or keeping them pointed. Right? When you keep them pointed, it's a little further that you have to go to make the connection between your hands and your heels. So tucking the toes can keep the back bend a little shallower. So together, let's reach the arms up overhead. And circle the arms back behind you as if you're putting them in your imaginary jean pockets here. And the elbows draw back as you start to lift the gaze. You're welcome to pause here, or you can reach the hands down to find those heels, making that connection. Take your time. The chin can either stay close to the chest, which keeps any of the pressure out of the neck, or you can gently release the head back between the shoulder blades. Wherever you are, take a few breaths. Lift all the way back up. As you point the feet, sit down onto the heels, bringing the thighs all the way together. Resting the hands on top of the thighs and either gazing at one point without movement or close the eyes. Let's take a second set of that. So rise up onto your knees again, separating them apart, hip distance, sometimes even a little wider, taking account of your own pelvic width. Toes tucked or not, that's your choice again. Inhale, reaching your arms up. This helps us to lengthen and feel a sense of rooting down to also help us rebound up. And then as you circle the hands, they can either land on your heels or into those imaginary jean pockets. And take the pose where you like. Breathing up through the chest of the head as you exit. Point the feet, bringing the knees, thighs, legs all the way together. Eyes on one point or closed. Take one hand to the heart, the sternum, and place the other hand gently on top of that. And feel your heart beating. If the eyes are closed, go ahead and open them. Release the hands from the sternum and sit down to one hip as we circle the legs out ahead of us. Just kind of getting comfy on your seat, maybe moving flesh, walking it out a little bit. We're going to open the legs to the side edges of the mat, creating a little bit of a V shape here. And then take your left leg, bending it like tree pose so that the sole of the foot connects to the inner right thigh. Go ahead and flex the right foot, grounding down through the legs, tailbone sort of anchoring down. Take the arms up and leave them up for a couple of breaths here. This may be challenging, right? It takes a lot of strength in the spine to be able to sit up tall in this way. Turn your chest towards that right leg, so a little tiny turn to the right, and then leaning forward with a couple of breaths here. Taking it to your depth. The hands can release down on either side of the leg, or you can hold on to the foot if that's within reach. And steady inward. Maybe you hear your breath or just feel it. See if it can be the anchor that holds you into the presence of the practice. Take one more breath here. Lift the gaze first, lift the torso a little bit, and then allow the arms to reach out and up as you return to sitting. Let's exhale the hands right to the heart center. You're going to take your left hand behind you, and you're going to lift up off of your seat, flattening your right foot to the ground. You end up on your left knee. Reach the right arm into a back bend. However this feels good, maybe looking towards the ceiling and rolling your chest in that direction, rolling your pelvis up towards the ceiling. Carefully coming down, sitting the seat back onto your mat and stretching the left leg out on that diagonal. You're back to the V shape. Fix the pelvis as needed, back into the center. And we'll fold the right foot in. Right sole of the foot against left inner thigh. Sitting for a few moments as we reach the arms up overhead, just breathing and centering. A little turn towards that left leg, and then you begin the folding. Meeting the challenge with breath to help you settle the nervous system. The mind wanders away, coming back to the feeling of the breath, the feeling of the body. One more breath here, in and out. And lift the gaze and a little bit in the torso, then allow the arms to come up with you the rest of the way. Exhale the hands to the heart. This time we're taking the right hand behind you, and as you lift your seat off the ground, the left foot flattens, points down, right shin supporting you, and lean back, stretching the left arm, and look up towards the ceiling maybe. And lowering the seat all the way back down to the mat. As you turn forward, stretch the legs out, back to that V shape. Just allow your hands to support you for a moment as you sit up tall. And then we're going to try to bring the legs closer together. Sitting up tall here, palms planting down onto the ground on either side of your hips. I always feel like this is worth like 100 sit-ups here. It's so challenging. It takes a lot of strength in that core. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Try to keep that length as you fold forward. Allow the arms to release down when you get to your edge, whether they're on either side of the legs or connecting to the feet. Stretching from the bottoms of the feet all the way through the back side of the legs, torso, to the crown of the head. Lift the gaze, bend the torso, and the arms come up the rest of the way. As you sit up tall, exhale the hands to the heart center. We're going to bring the hands behind us, much like we did in the beginning of class, and bend the knees again. Another opportunity for your upward facing table. Press the hands and feet down. lift up. Maybe it'll feel a little different now that you've moved through lots of postures and movement. It's okay if it doesn't feel different. And then bring it all back down, sitting the feet onto the mat. You can either do a second set of that, or a little more challenging orientation is to straighten the legs out. Again, keeping the hands behind you, and you may have to sort of negotiate the distance of where your hands are when you execute this. And then you're gonna lift up, point the feet, and hips go up, facing plank. Pull the toes back as you lower the hips all the way down to the ground. Hug the legs in, bottoms of the feet together. Hold the ankles, sit up tall. Close the eyes. Relax the shoulders down. Allow the breath to move gently. Opening the eyes, use the hands, bring the knees together. Move yourself forward on the mat so you have enough space to roll down. Hold the knees as you lower. Knees return into the chest and back to this rocking motion that we began with. Connecting that lower back, middle back, upper back points into the ground. If you need to circle the legs a little bit, go ahead and do so. Attempting to relieve tension if there is any in that lower back or sacrum. And then knees settle in the center. Go ahead and flex your feet. Your knees, your legs are kind of like at a 90-degree angle. And we'll open the arms out to the side like the letter T. Allow both knees to roll to the right, settling sort of the outer edge of that right foot and ankle onto the ground. Right hand can fold on top of the knee pile. Turn your head all the way to the right, towards the knees. And then turn your head to the center. And then turn your head as far to the right as you can. And as we stay for a few more breaths, put your head wherever you feel is best for you today. Returning the head back to the center if it's not already there. Bringing the knees back to the center. Just a little rock to feel like you get your hips settled again, shoulders settled. Flexing those feet, rolling the knees to the left, outer edge of ankle and foot touching down, maybe the outer knee, doesn't have to. Left hand on top of the knee pile, turn your head all the way to the left. Turn your head to the center. And then turn your head as far to the right as it will go. As we stay for a few breaths, choose which place to put your head for today. Rolling the head into the center, rolling the knees into the center. Set the feet down onto the mat, fixing pelvis and shoulders to feel centered. Just lower your arms down by your side. Close the eyes with the knees bent. Soften the belly. Relax the lower back. Drawing the knees into the chest, creating happy babies. So reaching up to hold the feet, inner edge or outer edge, whichever works for your body. Thighs coming down towards the sides of your ribs. Pressing the feet gently towards the ceiling as you draw the hands back down into the feet. Allowing that to create length in your back. Check that your shoulders are free of tension. And a little rocking or stillness, whatever your preference is. Sometimes it can be comforting to rock, much like we rock a crying baby. And other times rocking can be distracting. So knowing what's best for you is such a huge part of why we practice yoga. And when we can get into the heart of what's best for us, we can move into the world and act with a big heart, pure intention. Release the grip of the feet, hug the knees in for one more moment. And as you hug the knees, lift your head off the ground. Your shoulders might come up a little too, kind of tucking your chin and forehead towards the knees, stretching in the cervical spine. And then set the head and shoulders back down. Release the grip of the legs. And make your way into final resting, lying flat out on the mat, Shavasana. Just taking a moment to lay the body with whatever props you need, maybe something under your head or under your thighs. Maybe a washcloth over your eyes or dimming the lights in your room. It's okay to take the time to get it just right. And then aware of the points of contact that your body are making with the ground beneath you. Somewhere behind the heels and lower leg. Somewhere along the hips and buttocks. Behind the arms, back of the hands, elbows, upper arm. Points along the upper back. And then behind the skull, the back of the head. Imagine exhaling through those points of contact. Just releasing all worries, repetitive thoughts, anything that could be distracting to you. Release it into Mother Earth. She can take it for you, hold it for you. Allowing the breath to settle to its natural resting rhythm. Committing to the stillness of the body and of the mind. Remaining in stillness, bring your awareness back to the breath. Can you sense your whole body breathing? The aliveness, the presence. Allow that breath to inspire movement into the fingers, the toes, the hands, wrists, and ankles. Moving the head a little bit side to side. When you're ready, reach the arms overhead, away from the legs. Take a couple of breaths here, stretching through the length of the body. And then folding the knees towards the chest to either hold the legs or stand the feet on the mat. Perhaps a little rocking here. Choosing a side to rock all the way onto into a little fetal position, your arm serving as a pillow for your head. The other arm gently folding in front of the chest. Keeping the body as relaxed as possible. Bring yourself back up to a seated position. A moment there as you get settled to close the eyes. Rest the palms facing down on the lap. And quieting into any prayers or intentions that come in this moment, whether they're the same as when we began the practice or if something has shifted, honoring that. Bring the palms together at the heart center. Allow your thumbs to touch into the sternum, plugging into that heart-centered energy. Trusting that we've received what we needed from the practice today. We offer the merits of our work to the world at large. Prayers that all beings may experience peace, joy, love, and light. A final Om to seal this practice and to send its vibration out into the universe. Deep breath. Namaste.